At me, at everybody. He screams and yells wherever he goes. I drive him to Tabachnik's on Sunday morning. The people are all the people are lined up to buy their bagels and lox. We walk in and he's screaming, and there's a line of 600 people, but he's yelling, "Abe is here!" And they move him to the front of the line. Tabachnik comes running out, they push everyone aside, and Abe must order $5,000 worth of stuff, and we drive home, and there's Mrs. Steinheim, who weighs 92 pounds and knows when to get the hell out of the way, and he phones the three sons, and they're there in 5 seconds flat, and the four of them eat a meal for 400 people. The one thing he spends on is food. Food and cigars. You mention Tabachnik's, Kartzman's, he doesn't care who is there, how many people. He gets there and buys out the whole store. They eat up every single slice of everything, every Sunday morning. Sturgeon, herring, sable, bagels, pickles. And then I drive him over to the renting office to see how many apartments are vacant, how many are rented, how many are being fixed up 7 days a week, never stops, never takes a vacation. No mañana, that's his slogan. Drives him crazy if anybody misses a minute of work. He cannot go to sleep without knowing that the next day there are more deals that will bring him more money. And the whole damn thing makes me sick. The man to me is one thing only, a walking advertisement for the overthrow of capitalism. My father called Alvin's complaints kid stuff. And to be kept to himself on the job, especially after Abe decided that he was going to send Alvin to Rutgers. "You're too smart," Abe told Alvin, "to be so dumb." And then something happened beyond anything my father could realistically have hoped for. Abe gets on the phone to the president of Rutgers and starts shouting at him, "You're going to take this boy! Where he finished in high school is not the issue. The boy is an orphan, potentially a genius. You're going to give him a full scholarship, and I'll build you a college building, the most beautiful in the world, but not so much as a shithouse goes up unless this orphan boy goes to Rutgers, all expenses paid." To Alvin he explains, "I've never liked to have a formal chauffeur who was an idiot. I like kids like you with something going for them. You're going to Rutgers, and you'll come home and drive me in the summers, and when you graduate Phi Beta Kappa, then the two of us sit down and talk." Abe would have had Alvin beginning as a freshman in New Brunswick in September 1941, after 4 years of college, coming back as a somebody into the business, but instead, in February, Alvin left for Canada. My father was furious with him. They argued for weeks before finally, without telling us, Alvin took the express train from Newark's Penn Station straight up to Montreal. "I don't get your morality, Uncle Herman. You don't want to see me be a thief, but it's okay with you if I work for a thief? Steinheim is not a thief. Steinheim's a builder. What he's doing is what they do," my father said. "What they all have to do, because the building trade is a cutthroat business. But his buildings don't fall down, do they? Does he break the law, Alvin? Does he? No, he just screws the working man every chance he gets." "I didn't know your morality was also like that." "My morality stinks," said my father. "Everybody in the city knows about my morality. But the issue isn't me, it's your future. It's going to college, a 4-year college education. Free because he browbeats the president of Rutgers the way he browbeats the whole goddamn world. Let the president of Rutgers worry about that. What is the matter with you? You really want to sit here and tell me the worst human being ever born is a man who wants to make you an educated person and find you a place in his building company? No, the worst human being ever born is Hitler, and frankly, I'd rather be fighting that son of a bitch than waste my time with a Jew like Steinheim, who only brings shame on the rest of us Jews by his goddamn, oh, don't talk to me like a child, and the goddams I can live without too. The man doesn't bring shame on anyone. You think if you worked for an Irish builder it would be better? Try it. Go and work for Shanley. You'll see what a lovely fellow he is. And the Italians, would they be better, you think? Steinheim shoots his mouth off, the Italians shoot guns. And Longy's Wellman doesn't shoot guns? Please, I know all about Longy. I grew up on the same street with Longy. What does any of this have to do with Rutgers? It has to do with me, Uncle Herman, and being indebted to Steinman for the rest of my life. Isn't it enough that he has 3 sons that he's already destroying? Isn't it enough that they have to attend every Jewish holiday with him and every Thanksgiving with him and every New Year's Eve with him? I have to be there to be shouted at too, all of them working in the same office and living in the same building and waiting around for only one thing, to split it all up the day he dies? I can assure you, Uncle Herman, their grief won't last long. You're wrong, dead wrong. There is more to these people than just money. You're wrong. He holds them in his hands with that money. The man is totally berserk, and they stay and take it for fear of losing the money. They stay because they're a family. All families go through a lot. A family is both peace and war. We're going through a little war right now. I understand it. I accept it, but there's no reason to give up the college you missed out on that now you can have and run off half-cocked to fight Hitler instead. So, said Alvin, as though at last he had the goods not only on his employer but on his family protector as well. You're an isolationist after all. You and Bengelsdorf, Steinheim, they make a good couple. Of what? My father asked sourly, having finally run out of patience. Of Jewish fakes. Oh, said my father, against the Jews now, too. Those Jews, the Jews who are a disgrace to the Jews. Yes, absolutely. The argument went on for 4 consecutive nights, and then on the 5th, the Friday, Alvin didn't report to eat, though the idea had been to keep him showing up regularly for dinner until my father wore him down and the boy came to his senses. The boy whom my father had single-handedly changed from a callow good-for-nothing into the family's conscience. The next morning we learned from Billy Steinheim, who was closest to Alvin of any of the sons, and concerned enough about him to telephone us first thing Saturday, that after having received his Friday pay packet, Alvin had thrown the keys to the caddy in Billy's father's face and walked out, and when my father rushed off in our car to Wright Street to talk to Alvin in his room and get the whole story and gauge just how much damage he had done to his chances, the shoeshine parlor proprietor, who was Alvin's landlord, told him that the tenant had paid the rent and packed his things and was off to fight against the very worst human being ever born. Given the magnitude of Alvin's seething, no one less nefarious would do. And we'll pause there.